Welcome to another Inside Lansing, where today's guest is IT Director Fabian Newman. Fabian, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Neil. Great to be here.
Great to have you again. And why don't we start off talking about IT stuff? So one thing that we've been discussing was ransomware, and that was something that's very important to your department that you wanted to make sure was pretty much village-wide. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what ransomware is and how it's going to be implemented?
Yeah, so ransomware is just something that it's a daily occurrence as far as across the world. And so I know people probably have seen a lot of different news media outlets just talking about the different things going around, with ransomware. So essentially what it is the idea that someone can send you a virus or, send a program that basically infiltrates your computer system. And then once it infiltrates the computer system, essentially then it will lock you out. So you go to open up a file and it'll say it's encrypted.
So you can't do anything.
You can't do anything with it. Once you log in, then it automatically sends an execute feature to the computer, and then all your files are instantly locked out. It's almost like a zip file. So it's something like, it's something that's you have to open up and unlock. But the only way to unlock those with ransomware is a key. So a lot of software developers, create these as far as opportunities to basically get people to pay them to get their files back.
So it means literally what it's saying, which is ransoming your computer.
Yeah.
Ransomware is ransoming your computer. They're going to ask for a fee to unlock it for you.
Exactly. So, it's similar to it's another version of a way of explaining would be, say, God forbid someone's kid gets kidnapped, and then they place a phone call saying, hey, if you want your child back, you have to pay this amount of money. So that's essentially what ransomware is, and it's something that we get as a municipality. We're at a higher level as far as people are always looking to kind of do that, to get access, because we have a lot of files, we have a lot of different things for individual residents throughout the village, and so this is not new to us. It's something that we deal with. We've been having systems in place to deal with this ever since I've been here. So now we're just ramping up some of the stuff we're doing with it, and so there's some new technology that's out there that we're excited to be able to implement throughout the village.
And that'll help with all those issues, and it's fairly new stuff that you're saying. Like this is new versions of stuff.
Yeah, just we keep up to date with all of our current ones, but then every once in a while a new developer may come together and they may release something that I'm like, okay, let's see how. And once you go through the blogs and you watch all the different studies, you see, okay, this is a little bit different. Let's try and implement this. And it's a high cost to it, but not compared to what some of these municipalities have been, or companies have paid. I mean, you hear about it all the time, at least in IT circles, of municipalities having to pay extraordinary fees in order to get their money back. And you think, well, once you pay them, then you'll be able to, track it and so forth. But they're smarter than that. So they'll be doing it in Bitcoin. They'll be doing it through offshore accounts. It's all kinds of ways they do it. And so because of that nature, because my personal belief is you pay once, you're always going to pay. And then they're going to know that, hey, the Village of Lansing has paid before, let's go after them again. And we just don't do that. So we want to make sure that our residents feel all their information is secure, and we've been blessed, but we've been taking the necessary steps to ensure that.
Well, with IT, security is an issue at some points, and another topic we talk about is camera systems. Camera systems are another kind of protection, or at least you have eyes on things that are important. And I know that you've been working diligently putting cameras in many different places throughout the village. Could you talk a little bit about what you're doing there and how that's going to help your department and the village?
Yeah, so we get requests for looking at footage pretty much on a weekly basis, whether it be from our police department. I've worked with the FBI on things, so some of our residents may have heard that we had a bank robbery, in the town, and so we happen to have, as we have cameras at Village Hall, we happen to have cameras that are able to see different pieces, different locations around the village. And so, so we're able to piece together some different information to get our detectives to kind of get right away with the FBI and so forth to see, okay, well, this is what we found. This is what car they were driving. This is what time they entered. This is them casing the place, and so different things like that. We're always looking to see what we can do to help our, our police force, as well as, if God forbid it's a federal crime, the FBI. And so we want to make sure that we have everything in place. And so security is a big deal because, everyone is privy to an attack. Everyone is privy to something happening that is unexpected. And
Of course.
so because of that, we want to ensure our village assets are covered and taken care of. And so we have
It's a form of due diligence, just making sure that you have everything, all your bases covered.
Correct. Yeah, and so we have a lot of different locations throughout the village. So whether it be Fox Point, I mean, we have quite a few cameras at Fox Point, quite a few at the Village Hall. We have it at the sports complex. We have it at the airport. All of our locations, we want to ensure that there is some kind of ability for our police officers, if something does happen or an event does occur, that we can go back and ideally in real time and know how we can address it and figure out the situation pretty quickly.
Well, I like that you mentioned locations, because a lot of people think, well, IT, they just work in one room, or they're just kind of just working in this one area. But I've worked with you for a while, and I know that you are everywhere in the village. You're always kind of moving around everywhere. There's always something IT related somewhere to take care of. And one example recently has been the sports complex. The sports complex is having a build out, and you're involved pretty heavily in that. Do you want to talk about your involvement with that?
Yeah, so that we have our Lansing Little League has, Lansing Old Timers actually has historically ran the Little League complex over near the police department on 170th Street. On that side of town, they've kind of ran it for just for decades. And so we, as a village, have basically kind of taken it over the last couple of years. And so, because we have a vision, I know Dan Podgorski's talked about it as that would be another destination driver for Village of Lansing, because we have softball games there, we have baseball games of different ages, we have volleyball, we have lots of different things over there. And so because we have all these things over there, we want to ensure that we have the infrastructure set up to kind of do it the right way. So we've kind of been piecemealing it for the longest. I mean, if you go there and you wanted a hot dog, everything was cash only because there's no internet. So, I mean, it's a huge facility, but there was no internet because there was no need for it at the time. But now we are moving in the direction where I said, okay, if we want to do this and do it the right way, we need to ensure the infrastructure is set up. So with that, we are excited because it's been a long time coming, but we now I contacted Comcast, and we basically created another extension of our internet infrastructure throughout the village over at the complex. So, and so essentially what that means now is we'll have internet on all the different fields throughout the entire facility. We also will have, and because there's internet, now we can actually add cameras to have footage in case there is an event that we need to, we need to make sure we have on film, so we can go back to it and say, oh, well, something happened with, whether it be vandalism,
right? Yeah, you
whatever
have all
it could
sorts
have
of
been,
accounts of,
and then that's we talk about events, but then there's other things with that. So we're really excited because we created these. We've been working with our point of sale system at Fox Point. So basically, when we created that, we had the idea that, well, instead of just Fox Point, let's get enough of these so that we can implement the same system at the complex. And so we're going.
Is it going to be the same exact system?
It will be. It will be.
the
So
same system.
we're gonna now we won't have as many, obviously, but it'll be great because everything will be electronic. There'll be a great way to keep inventory as opposed to paper and pencil.
As working at Fox Point with it helped you prepare to put these in, and like the challenges that come
Correct.
with that?
Yeah. So all the different challenges we realized at the Fox Point. Granted, Fox Point was a completely new build out and
Of
so
course,
forth,
you're going to have
and
challenges.
so we knew that there were some different things that were a little different, and so we're still a, probably a few years away from being where we really want to be, but the first step had to be getting our fiber internet there, and so our internet signal is very strong. We now have cameras in place. Eventually, we'll be able to do live streaming, which is going to be a huge asset for people who say you have little Johnny is playing a baseball game, and but his grandparents live in Arizona, and so we're like, well, we'll have the ability where they can log on to a site, and then they'll be able to watch little Johnny play, for a nominal fee instead of having to, oh, I wish I could see your game. Well, if you can't make it, you can go on your phone, you can go on your computer, whatnot, and log in, and now you can actually see the games. And we're hoping to have that for baseball, softball, and volleyball. With all the different length of times that's happening right now with COVID and everything else, some things are a little bit delayed, but eventually that's the goal, is to have that option for our residents.
Well, it sounds like you guys are very busy and you have your hands full. So, of course, probably my last question would be, what's going on with the department? Is there any growth happening? It sounds like you guys have so much that you kind of are almost like having to grow at this point.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about it. We have, our staff is very small. It's our day-to-day staff. It really is Daniel and myself, and then we do have some consultants that we work with as well for specialty projects, such as the ones we just named. However, but to handle help desk tickets, individual requests, you have roughly 200 plus employees that could, at any point be sending an email saying, hey, I need help with blank. And so you have to be ready to help them, because, if they're not able to work, then they're not as effective, and, you don't know what else it may be affecting. So we have to be ready to help them, but still, monitor and maintain our servers, everything else that we have going on.
And be
throughout the
working on
building.
new projects.
Correct.
That you're trying to build up on too.
Yeah,
You're not just trying to keep everything afloat. You're trying to also make a better ship, if you will.
Exactly. And so we have lots of projects, and Daniel, my assistant, will attest to the fact that, if you look in my office, I have boxes everywhere, and it's because, okay,
I
we're
can
going to work
attest
on
to that too.
Of course, because I said we're going to work on this project in January, so don't open this box, because I know then everything is in there in place, and then and it's great when I can get rid of some more boxes because we finished a different project. So we have that. We have we're going to need to add some additional staff. Definitely a GIS consultant, which is basically, everyone in this world now, if they go anywhere, first thing they do is get on Google Maps, because they want to know how to, if people are anything like me, I hate reading regular maps. And so, I remember when I had to, travel, and I'd open up this big map, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's hard to read, and but now Google Maps, it's turn-by-turn navigation. So we have, with now in this age where everything that a municipality has is really just an asset. So whether that be buildings, that be computers, that be, you name it, we have, roads, everything is an asset. And so what a GIS consultant will do, and we're excited to be able to kind of work with this, they'll have basically a big map of Lansing, and we'll be able to pinpoint exactly where every particular asset is, whether it be a building, and then if you go to that building, then you'll be able to see all the different possible exits. You'll be able to see all the different pieces that are critical to our fire department, police department. So if a fire department, types in an address, they'll be able to see, oh, these are all the possible exits. These are the possible, all the different things that are necessary to be able to deal with whatever the situation there it is. And so same thing with our police department, God forbid you have an active shooter, you'll know all the possible exits before you even get to the location, because it'll be brought up right there on their tablet. So all that has to be, it's all a matter of in a big database. And so a GIS consultant is basically, they call it geographic information systems. So everything is information, it's all data, and someone has to be able to monitor all that. So we have pieces in place throughout the village, and I'm kind of the go-between for all the different departments for everything, but especially when something like this. And so our police department has their own database, fire department has their own, public works has their own, and so forth, building departments. So we have, instead of having 4, 5, 6 different databases, now we have to put all that into one so that it's shared information. So that's the goal, and that's it's something that it's a huge entity by itself, because some municipalities have, I'll give an example of Orland Park has 16 people in their GIS department alone under their technology.
Yeah,
So it's a big deal for people who, if you go in, you have to be ready to go all in. So we've kind of been limping along, but we know we have to get in that. And so, because for Orland, for example, it's big for them because of the number of hotels they have and so forth, but and restaurants. But we want to make sure that we are, we're showing that we're a big player in the south suburbs, but this will allow us to take it even further along. And so, but if we have to get there, we have to take the necessary steps with staffing.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down, talk to us about this, get us see us all the new exciting things coming to the IT department, as well as knowing that you guys are always there to keep us moving and keep everything afloat. So again, we just appreciate you coming in and sharing some of that with us.
Oh, thanks so much, Neil. Yes, as I said, we know that there's a lot to do, but we're up to the task, and so we're just here as as residents. We just want to make sure that we have everything in place, to take our residents to the next level.
Thank you again, Fabian.
All right, you're welcome.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside Lansing.